Crash course on China's disputes with Japan over Diaoyu, Senkaku Islands and their historical and strategic significance. Introduction. The Diaoyu Islands, also known as the Senkaku Islands in Japan, are a group of uninhabited islands located in the East China Sea. China and Japan have been disputing the sovereignty of these islands for decades, and the issue remains a major source of tension between the two countries. The dispute has both historical and strategic significance, and it has been the subject of many diplomatic, political, and military exchanges between China and Japan. In this article, we will provide a crash course on China's disputes with Japan over the Diaoyu Islands, discuss their historical and strategic significance, and list and describe the top 12 events that have contributed to this ongoing conflict. Historical significance. The Diaoyu Islands have been a point of contention between China and Japan for centuries. Both countries claim sovereignty over the islands, and their claims are based on different historical and legal grounds. China claims that the islands have been an integral part of Chinese territory since ancient times and were only temporarily occupied by Japan during the Sino-Japanese War in 1895. Japan, on the other hand, claims that it has been exercising effective control over the islands since the late 19th century and that the islands were not part of China's territory before the war. One of the main historical disputes between China and Japan over the Diaoyu Islands is related to their ownership during the colonial period. In 1895, Japan defeated China in the First Sino-Japanese War and acquired Taiwan and other territories, including the Diaoyu Islands. However, after Japan's defeat in World War II, the Allied powers agreed to transfer control of Taiwan and the Diaoyu Islands back to China. Japan, however, continued to claim sovereignty over the islands and reasserted its control over them in 1972. When the United States returned Okinawa and other islands to Japan. China protested the move but was unable to retake control of the islands. Strategic significance. Apart from the historical significance, the Diaoyu Islands also have strategic significance for China and Japan. The islands are located in a region rich in fishing grounds and potentially large oil and gas reserves. The surrounding waters are also important shipping routes for both countries. Controlling the islands would give either country a strategic advantage in terms of access to these resources and control over the maritime routes. The dispute over the Diaoyu Islands also has wider implications for regional security in East Asia. China's increasingly assertive behavior in the region, including its territorial claims in the South China Sea and the East China Sea, has raised concerns among its neighbors, including Japan, about China's intentions and its impact on regional stability. Japan has been strengthening its military capabilities and building closer security ties with other countries in the region, such as the United States and Australia, in response to China's perceived threat. Top 12 China and Japan disputing events on Diaoyu Islands. 1968. Japan officially claims sovereignty over the Diaoyu Islands and incorporates them into Okinawa Prefecture. 1972. The United States returns control of Okinawa and other islands to Japan, including the Diaoyu Islands. 1992. China asserts sovereignty over the Diaoyu Islands and incorporates them into its administrative regions. 1996. China and Japan agree to manage the dispute through dialogue and consultation. 2004. Japan's former Prime Minister, Junichiro Koizumi, visits the controversial Yasukuni Shrine, which honors Japan's war dead, including convicted war criminals, angering China. 2010. A Chinese trawler collides with Japanese Coast Guard vessels near the Diaoyu Islands, leading to a diplomatic standoff between the two countries. 2012. Japan nationalizes 3 of the Diaoyu Islands, leading to protests and boycotts of Japanese goods in China. 2013. China establishes an Air Defense Identification Zone, ADIZ, over the East China Sea, including the Diaoyu Islands, which Japan and other countries refuse to recognize. 2015. China and Japan agree to establish a crisis management mechanism to prevent accidental clashes between their military forces near the Diaoyu Islands. 2016. A Chinese military aircraft enters Japan's self-declared Air Defense Identification Zone near the Diaoyu Islands, leading to protests from Japan. 2020. China's fishing fleet, accompanied by Coast Guard vessels, enters the waters around the Diaoyu Islands, leading to protests from Japan. 2021. The United States reiterates its commitment to Japan's defense of the Diaoyu Islands under the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty, drawing criticism from China. Summary. The dispute over the Diaoyu Islands between China and Japan has historical and strategic significance, as it involves territorial claims and access to natural resources in the East China Sea. The issue has been the subject of many diplomatic, political, and military exchanges between the two countries, and it has wider implications for regional security in East Asia. The top 12 events that have contributed to this ongoing conflict include Japan's sovereignty claim, China's assertion of sovereignty, diplomatic incidents, nationalization, establishment of ADIS, establishment of crisis management mechanism, and military activities. Here is a poem on China and Japan's disputes on this island. On the East China Sea, there lie the Diaoyu Islands, beneath the sky, whose ownership is hotly debated by China and Japan, who are fated to dispute their claim, with no end in sight. Historical roots run deep and wide. For both countries, they cannot decide who owned the islands first, long ago. But both lay claim, with no give or go. Strategic significance also holds sway. For the waters around, rich with prey and resources that both countries need to prosper and grow, to take the lead. Tensions rise and fall with each event. Diplomatic protests and military intent. Air defense zones and nationalization. All adding fuel to the escalating situation. But peace must prevail, for the sake of regional stability, for all to partake in the bounties of the East China Sea, and put aside their territorial plea. ******. Start planning your next global adventure with ease and convenience with our Booking.com referral link. https://www.booking.com/index.html?8 equals 7989335 as a great choice to plan your next trip. You can find and book flights, hotels, cars, and local attractions all in one place, and their price match guarantee ensures you're getting the best deal. Thank you for kind support our AnHub Metaverse channel, and please watch more interesting videos here.